Hi, everyone. I am Gretchyn Bailey with Optometry Times, and I have the pleasure today of being joined by my colleague, Brooke Beery, as well as Sarah Michelle Gellar, who is actress, producer, and entrepreneur. And today we are talking with her about CooperVision's My Sight and Brilliant Futures myopia management campaign. So we're going to throw it to Brooke for our first question. Take it away, Brooke.
Thanks, Gretchen. So my first question, Sarah, is how did you get involved with CooperVision's Brilliant Futures myopia management campaign, and why is it important to you?
Well, it's been an incredibly challenging year, I think, for all of us. And at the beginning of quarantine, when my children were first put to distance learning, my son was blinking extremely heavily. I noticed him really struggling with his eyes, and I thought it was just screen fatigue because my kids were not used to having this much screens just in general. We didn't have a lot of screen time in our house. But as it kept going and continuing, my mom intuition sort of kicked in, and I thought, no, it's not just screen fatigue, because he would be getting more used to it at this point. So we took him to an ophthalmologist and found out that he indeed was myopic and was, a candidate either for glasses or for his next birthday would have been a candidate for the My Sight Brilliant Futures. For me, it was all about a learning process and learning what the options were. When I was growing up, you used glasses to help you see it, but there was no way to slow a progression of myopia. And so learning that there were these options, I thought, what a great way to partner and be able to get that word out there.
Yeah, totally. What message do you want parents to understand about myopia?
I think the two most important things is to always, as a mother or a father or a parent in general, is to always trust your instinct that you know your kids. And even though we might not be MDs, we're mom MDs or we're dad MDs. And we do know our own kids. And so when you see stuff, listen to that and know that you might be onto something. And I think the other thing is just being able to spread the word that there's options, that it's not just about glasses or only contact lenses. There are all these different options that you can do to correct a problem and hopefully to prevent it from getting worse in the future.
So you said that your son is myopic or nearsighted, and is your daughter as well? And do you happen to know how myopic they are?
Mom MD only knows that they have problems seeing. I wouldn't know their exact prescriptions. Well, what was interesting was, so after meeting with CooperVision and learning all about this, I learned about that you can test them early just by looking at the clock on your oven or your microwave or whatever. So we tested my daughter and she was fine. So at this point, she's just going to stick with her blue light glasses. But we'll continue to keep an eye on her in the future.
Well, blue light glasses, that's great. I'm glad that you are taking a look at all of the things going on with kids being on screens. And so your son then, you said, would be a candidate on his next birthday. So are you considering myopia management for him then in order to help reduce the progression?
Yes, he just turned 8 last week. So he was actually waiting for it because my daughter was so excited to get blue light glasses and she thought she looked so cool and studious. My son really didn't want that. And I think for him, he was also very worried about sports and worried about, well, what do I have to wear glasses when I play sports and how does that work? And so I think for him, the idea of contact lenses being an option is something he's much more attracted to. But he only turned 8 last week.
Well, happy birthday to him. That is a big milestone birthday to get into your myopia management contact lenses. Very cool, very exciting.
We know that you're a busy mom who's very active also. Do you yourself wear contact lenses? Why or why not?
I am more a glasses person because just for when I'm a lot of it for me is reading at night. So I don't have to worry about, putting things in my eyes. For me, contact lenses were a lot when I was on Buffy and we had special effects and we always had all of that. And sometimes I would find for me that it would make my eyes a little more tired. But there was no option when I was wearing them. There was no option for it to slow the progression. It was just to be able to see. And so with my job, I have to learn my lines, so I wasn't reading anything.
So circling back to the pandemic real quick, we know that it's created a new normal for a lot of us this year, especially children and parents. How has your kids' vision been affected with distance learning?
Well, I think we're asking a lot of these children, we're asking them to have to focus on these screens where I know I do a day of Zooms and I'm bleary eyed, but I'm just having conversations about stuff that I'm not intaking a ton of information. For them, they're trying to process new information that they're learning and learning how to problem solve and learning mathematics and science. And so I think for them, it's even trickier because your mind is working overtime. It's trying to correct your eyesight at the same time as it's trying to take in all this information. So it's about being patient with them.
That is absolutely true. And I know there are no easy answers for anybody, parents, students, teachers during all of this. And it's rough. You mentioned about theatrical effects with some of your previous work. So did you ever wear theatrical contact lenses or any special effect contact lenses for any of your roles?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I've worn colored contacts. I've worn white contacts, the ones where you can't see out of them. I've worn yellow. I've worn them all.
I thought you might have, so I thought that would just be a fun question to ask. And I guess for our final question, what do you wish that any of your eye doctors had told you about myopia, either for yourself or for your kids? And what advice do you have for doctors out there who are talking with parents and kids about this?
I think the main advice for doctors is just communicate. We are parents. We want what's best for our kids, but we don't have all the answers and we don't know what the options are. So if you present all of the options to a parent, they know their children best and what would work best for their children. And I think that's why I was excited about the opportunity to partner with CooperVision so that I could share my positive experience and hopefully educate other parents so that it wasn't the struggle that their kids would be having staring at these screens or trying to focus on any of those devices.
Absolutely. Yes, communication is a really important skill and we can't emphasize that enough. Well, I hope that we would be able to follow up with you, or CooperVision follows up with you at some point, and you would be able to share your son's experience and how things are working out with him just with wearing MySight. So that's really exciting.
Absolutely.